Greetings, welcome to Krishna Song Camp. I'm Michael Cassidy. We're here to do Humble Abode Part 2. I'm going to be showing you some chord voicings, the rhythm pattern that I used, and hopefully it'll make it work for you. Okay, I'll just do the first verse. Remember, the end of the intro was, I went to visit a friend I hadn't seen in a while. There's a lot we forgot, but not how to smile. Oh, we laughed about our past. Okay, so that's the first verse. The finger, the pattern that I'm using, it's a one bar phrase. First I'm hitting the bass note. You know, this is in 3/4, so it's 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1. So that's the basic groove of the song. It has a nice lilt when you do it that way. Our hands moving. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and every upstroke is the and, right? So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. So the and of 2 just before 3 is what we're looking for on the upstroke. So you got 1, 2, and 3. And notice I didn't go 1, 2, and 3 and just hold my hand there. My hand is kind of keeping the groove and the feel of the groove of the song, and that's what you need to have that somewhere in your body, and the hand is perfect. So you go 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. I went to visit a friend I hadn't seen in a while. So on seen, I'm doing that. It says D add 2, but it's a D sus 2. Sus 2 means all the sus chords are, all the sus chords are doing something with the third, either lowering the third to the second, that's a sus 2, or raising the third to a fourth, that's a sus 4. If you had a D add 2, it would still have the third of the chord in it, and then you'd add the E here. That's a little different sound then. So anyways, sorry I wrote that wrong. On that chord, we're doing a full D sus 2 and then back to the D. And then it goes to the G. On the G chord, it says no third. I'm just putting my second finger on the G note and putting my third finger on the B string, same fret, and the pinky on the E string, same fret. And you just get this kind of power chord. It's ambiguous. It isn't letting us, it isn't saying it's major or minor. And that's the way we want it. I went to visit a friend I hadn't seen in a while. There's a lot we forgot, but not how to smile. And then we have these bar chords, B minor, F sharp minor, and G. And I'm just doing the regular bar chord voicing, and then just going up here, and then the G. Now I know everybody has different skill levels out there. Pardon me, I was looking at the music. Everyone has different skill levels, but you have to just do the best you can with it. And don't be opposed to increasing your skill level. If you need to learn bar chords, then work on them. I talked about how to do it. And I will be willing to give Skype lessons if you would like to have some guitar lessons. But of course, there's probably fine guitar teachers in your neighborhood. But in either case, you could email me about that if you're interested in guitar lessons. So you got the B minor. Now on this part here, remember the original pattern was 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. this part here, I do something a little different. I'm going B minor, 1, 2, 3. Then I'm hitting the bass note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So bum, 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 bum. And then kind of staying with the lower notes, but hitting quarter notes. Oh, we laugh about our past. And then it has that little embellishment on the end there. That's a quarter, eighth note triplet. So you got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So in the place of 2 notes, we're playing 3 notes. And I'm doing a double pull-off. You got the D chord, and I'm playing the B note here. I'm talking about all these notes in terms of not having a capo. So we already talked about that. So I'm hitting that B note there. It's on the G string, and I'm pulling up. And then I'm pulling a pull off with my first finger. Figaro, figaro, figaro. For all you opera singers. Okay, so we got, and it's on the third beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1. And so that's just something you can practice, and I'm sure you'll get it over time, that's all. And for some of you, of course, you're more advanced and you can already do that. So everybody's at a different skill level, and I'm just trying to speak to everybody at once. That's not easy. Okay, so we got through that part. The next verse is the same, except the ending of it has a way that it brings in the chorus. You got 2 verses and then a chorus. So the way that happens is we're all the way up to the B minor, F minor again. Like a sage, transcending his age. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You got those 3 staccato quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And I kind of let up on the chord there. Let up on the pressure of my fingers so that it'll have a staccato kind of vibe. And then I use my hand, the side of my hand, to cut it off abruptly. And then we go into the chorus. It once served as a temple, a house of the Lord. Now on this A chord, you can play the A chord with 3 fingers in a row. You can put your second finger on the D string and put this finger on the G string, and that's in case you have big fingers, that's a way to play that chord and nice and cleanly. And I'm just leaning my thumb on the E string there, so I can just swipe all the strings and not have that, low note ringing in there, because that'll ruin the chord. It once served as a temple, a house of the Lord, and its torchlight and knowledge cut like a sword through the dark, surrounding our hearts. This is half a step lower than I sing it these days. So it might sound like I'm struggling to get down there, and I am, As you get older, my lower notes are getting higher and my higher notes are getting lower. So that's just my fingers are getting weaker. Now I play on 10s instead of 11s for the strings. That's just the dwindling phase of life. Okay, so let's kind of go over that chorus. We have the A, and we're blocking out that low string. And then the G. And I'm using that one that I like, that G chord that I like, and I'm muting out the A string, and I got my pinky on the E string. It once served as a temple, a house of the Lord. And then you have this a B minor 11. And this third finger isn't being used. I know it looks like it could be, but it isn't. I've got my first finger on the B string, on the B note, which is the 5th string there, 2nd fret from the capo. And then my second finger on the G string, same fret. And then my pinky finger on this D note, 3rd fret. And then the E is the 11, B minor 11. And this first finger is brushing up against the low string, the 6th string, so that I can just swipe all those strings and get a nice clean chord. Now, if you mute out the D string, that won't matter. It'll still sound good because you have the D over here. Or you could sound it. It'll also be all right. Either way, it's an okay voicing. So you get the B minor 11 there. And then it says A sus 7. But I'm just doing an A sus without the 7. That would be A sus 7 with the G note, but I'm playing like a regular A and then putting my pinky on the sus, the D chord, the D note, pardon me. You get that kind of sus thing. And then it resolves. You put your finger back down to the C sharp there. Okay, so let's go over just that part. It once served as a temple, a house of the Lord, and its torchlight of knowledge, a cut like a sword through the dark. Now, these 3 chords, the E minor, D over F sharp, and G. So let's talk about that. The E minor, if we were using a full capo, we would just play an E minor like we always do. But remember, we have a partial capo, and this low string is ringing out down here, not here. So to be able to make this E minor work, we have to use our first finger. So we're playing the 2 notes up here with our 3rd and 4th finger. And then we're playing this E, which we normally wouldn't have to, finger, because if it was without a partial capo. But we need that finger there. That's why the capo is placed so far from the fret. Everybody says when you're putting the capo on, make sure it's close to the fret. So the strings won't buzz. But I found that you can put it way back here and the strings still don't buzz, and then that lets you get that nice E chord, even though you're using a partial capo. So you have that chord, that's the E minor, and then this finger, first finger, is going to move up 2 frets to the F sharp, and here where this finger is muting out the A string, and then the D string rings, then there's another A note there, and the D. And there's an E on top, which it still sounds good if you hit it. You can play that note if you like. That won't sound bad at all. So E minor, D over F sharp. Here's a D chord, right? And the F sharp is up here on that triad. And all we're doing is we're taking this note and we're lowering it 2 octaves and playing the same note down here. So we're here, and then we're moving up to the G. Now we're fingering this chord with our first finger here. Later on, we'll be doing it with this finger, because we're already going to be playing this chord, and we don't want to have to move 2 fingers, so we're just going to reach over and do that. So that's what I talked about, the fingerings that you use for chords are really based on where you're coming from and where you're going to. So in this little section, we have the E minor here. We're just going to lift that finger up 2 frets, move it up, and then we're just going to take this free third finger here and play the G. Okay, let me just play that chorus for you up to that point. It once served as a temple, a house of the Lord, and its torchlight of knowledge, cut like a sword through the dark, surrounding our hearts. Okay, so there you go. Now, part 2 of the chorus is starting with the G here. It was that place, that humble abode. It was honored one spring by the Jagat Guru, adorned with his footsteps and bathed in his truth. Okay, so let's just do those 2 lines again. So G, it was honored one spring by the Jagat Guru, adorned with his footsteps and bathed in his truth. So adorned with his footsteps. So if you want to be able to reach this finger to here, you have to be able to keep your wrist loose so that you can move it forward. And then that makes it easy. And you know, you could use this finger, but you're already there. His footsteps and bathe in his truth. So you could finger that G chord with, you know, this finger, or you could, and then move this one all the way to there. You could do that, but my recommendation is just move it to there. Now, I may do it differently than that without thinking, you know, but that's the way it is. So anyways, that's something to practice. For those of you who are just starting out on the guitar a bit, or you know, intermediate, one rookie mistake is to just have this death grip on your guitar, you know, just pushing down with way more pressure than's needed to make the strings sound. And what happens is that slows down your ability to move to other chords. If you're just touching it light, just enough pressure so that it rings without buzzing, and then it's easy to relax your hand and move to the next chord, and you know, and so on and so forth. So be conscious of how tight, you know, be aware of that. If you're just pushing down way more than necessary. Okay, so that's part 2 of the chorus. And here's part 3, the next 2 lines. Let's do it from adorned. We'll bring it into the next part here. Adorned with his footsteps and bathed in his truth, it was grace. Okay, so here's this sequence of E minor, A. Now I don't have an A sus2 written in there, but I use it all the time. It was graced. You know, so you got that. If you play it this way, you're lifting that finger up. Either way, it's the same finger. You're lifting up off the B string. That's your sus2A. It was graced. E minor. Remember, you have to have this finger there. And then, easy to move from here. Just take this third finger and put it there. Let me see. It was great. Where am I? It's truth. It was grace. By the smile of his face, made a sacred place. And then we go into the solo, which is going to be another video for that. Okay, I apologize that I'm staring to the side here, but I have the lyrics there. I'll get used to it after a while and look into the camera more often. So anyways, that's that part. There was something I wanted to say about that. Oh, on that last one, it's E minor, and then when you go to that A sus, 7 sus, you want to, mute out that low string. So you can just swipe it and not have, you don't want that low note in there, that'll ruin the chord. Then you go into the solo. So anyways, those are all the elements to this song. There's a little change up at the end because there's a partial solo that brings the song out. It's, I forget exactly what it is, but it's, there's also another intro that comes in there. And that's after the second chorus, after the second chorus. It is a great place. See, that's just like the intro, so it does intro 2. There my soul was reclaimed. Is that where that is? No. As we came off the hill, just remembering things. For a moment I thought I heard cymbals ring. Back up the road to that humble abode, though fragile and old. Now this, you may notice that sometimes I only have 2 patterns of this B minor, F sharp minor, G. And other times I have 3. I'm just, because I needed more words and I felt I could put them in there. So anyways, those are still all the same elements of the song. Well, that's it for now. I hope you enjoy the song. Play it for as many people as you can. Bye for now. Hare Krishna.